Mr. Speaker.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Speaking to that motion.
The delegate has the floor.
So, Mr. Speaker, I have to speak to this motion because the only way we can get to the floor substitute would be to reject the committee substitute. So I'm going to ask you all in a moment, when we have a voice vote, to be able to vote with me to reject the committee substitute. I want to stop for just 1 second and explain. The committee substitute is what we call a Section 1 bill, okay? So what the committee substitute does is it doesn't change the Code of Virginia at all. What it does is it puts language in the Acts of Assembly that say, this is what we think these terms mean when they're used in this section of the code, which is actually the code and has the force of law. Over here in Section 1 is a place to go to sort of, I think, establish legislative intent about what we mean. And there's a much simpler approach to solving this problem, which is my floor substitute, which actually says that when we are protecting people from discrimination based on race, religion, and so forth, we will include their ethnicity, right? Because sometimes people that are, first of all, why do we need this bill at all? Why is this bill here before us? Aren't Jewish people protected by the term religion in all of these statutes? And the answer, that the problem identified by the Anti-Semitism Commission is sometimes people are discriminated against because they are perceived to be Jewish or they have a Jewish last name, but it may not be anything to do with their religious practice. And so to crack down on anti-Semitism, which we all agree is a growing problem, and I think everybody on both sides of the aisle thinks needs to be addressed. I think this is actually the one bill that kind of gets at it and actually starts to address it. You need to add ethnicity to your definitions. And so my floor substitute just does that. The committee substitute pulls it off, puts it into the Acts of Assembly where it's hard to find, nobody knows it's there, you got to go look for it, and really waters down the bill. But we had to do that because the bill as introduced actually created a protected class for anti-Semites, right? It says you can't discriminate against somebody based on their anti-Semitism. So we need a substitute. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to reject both of these. I really don't want to go back to that original bill because I don't think that one hit the mark. But Mr. Speaker, this is, we've a series. This is the third in a series of these bills that are here, I guess, to protect me. And so thank you for that. And now I've got a substitute. Actually, I want to participate in that process a little bit. I think I have a bill that I can make it a lot better. And we've got instead this committee substitute, which puts it in the Acts of Assembly. Now we're going to hear that the Acts of Assembly do have the force of law. This isn't watering it down. This is just a question of approach, and we have a different approach. And here's my fear about buying that line of argument. This is the one, like I said, this is the one that I really think could help. Right? The one that I really think would affect people like me and my family. And I say that because, I just want to get to this issue because we've had this back and forth. Anti-Semitism is real and it affects the lives of Jews in Virginia every day and every week. And when I go to synagogue with my family, ever since the Pittsburgh shooting, I have this thought process. I can't avoid it. It doesn't matter why I'm there. When I sit down in the pews with my wife and my son and my daughter, I look around to figure out, God forbid, somebody came in and attacked it. Where am I going to go? Is there enough room between that pew and the floor for me to lay on top of my kids to protect them or not? And I can't help thinking that. I mean, it enters my mind when I go there to pray, when I'm there to relax and to enter Shabbat and take my day of rest. My mind is racing every time I go there with how I would react in a situation like that. So please understand that I think this is a serious and important issue, and it affects me in a very personal way, and I think we need to address it. I think this bill actually could, if done properly, move that ball forward as opposed to some of the other bills that we've heard today. And so, Mr. Speaker, with that, I don't think we should go to Section 1. I don't think we should go to the Acts of Assembly. I don't think we should water this bill down. I think we should take this very common sense, straightforward approach. Let's add ethnicity to the Human Rights Act, to the Hate Crimes Act, to all of our acts that protect people based on their religion, their national origin, their ethnicity, and adopt my floor substitute. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I'd ask that we reject the committee substitute.
The delegate from Scott, Delegate